Hey guys, Fitchorn here. I'm now going to have a tutorial video on how to get stubble if your iconic person has a little bit of face stubble and you're wondering how to get realistic stubble going on, plus how to make your hair look a little bit more realistic with some shading highlighting, plus I promised a quick dread tutorial. So let's start off with hair that is of this texture and this quality. I'm going to go to my layers. If your layers disappear, don't forget you can go up into your window and you can go ahead and make sure again your workspace is on typography, your toolbar is on advanced, and that your layers are turned on. And I'm going to make sure that my hair layer is not locked, which it is not. Cool. And I'm going to go ahead and click on my hair layer, and I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit more transparent so I can see its actual highlights. So obviously I made his skin go up under his hairline so that way that would show through. If that's bothering you, you can always click on the skin and use the direct selection tool to totally edit that so that way you can kind of see what's going on here. There we go. So let's go back to the hair layer. So I'm on the hair layer, and you can see I've already kind of drawn some of the highlights. All it is you're basically going to look at the hair underneath your outline, and you're going to determine where highlights are hitting the hair so that way you can make it look like it's got texture. So I'm going to come through, and you can either do it two ways. You can either do like a zigzag, like look at how I'm tracing over the really light pattern area of his hair, and then I can go ahead and like color it a lighter color in the fill, right? Maybe that there, something a little more golden. So you can do it in patches, and you can even reduce the opacity to make it like blend a little bit more. Or if you want to do like smaller chunks, that way it looks more realistic, you can draw like, if you're tedious enough about it, yeah, heck yeah, go ahead and draw one little patch at a time instead of in a zigzag. So I'm getting these main patches over here, and I know they're all disappearing as I finish drawing them, but I'm going to show you again the secret of using the shift key. If you hover over where you drew all those, they'll appear. I'm holding the shift key so I can click and select all of them that I've just drawn right in this area, and I'm going to come over here and fill them with that golden color, and then maybe I'll change the opacity down a little bit so it blends with the hair. And so that is so easy for to do highlights, right? You just trace over the highlights or the darker areas and color it as you will. And then let's turn that on to see how that looks. Let's turn back up the opacity. So you can see it creates some dimensionality to the hair. And so there's that. But let's say you have somebody who has more texturized hair. People from different ethnic backgrounds have different texture hair. For instance, Cubans, African Americans, they have more curly texture hair. So what you want to do, you can't use these smooth strokes to show curl. I would go ahead, and I'm just going to pretend that there's a person with dreadlocks here, and I'm going to use the pencil tool to make like these really, really like bubbly lines, right? So that way, like this is a dreadlock right here, we're going to pretend, right? And then let's color it like maybe a medium brown. Let's see, right there. Excuse me while I get the coloring tool. And I'm going to fill it with a medium brown right there. And then we want to create low lights and highlights on that because the dreadlocks will be darker in closer to the root, and it will be lighter on top. But I'm also going to show you some other things you can do. So you can either create colored patches by using the pencil tool. Now remember, don't get close to the other lines or you're going to end up blending the two shapes together. So even if you want to draw down here, I'm going to draw like a patch and color it like a darker brown, and maybe put that down on the underside of the dread, right? So you can kind of see what start doing, right? And then you can make that as opaque as you want so it starts blending and feathering that out if you want. Or you can go ahead and let's stretch it out a little bit so they're, you know, yeah, just you might have to play with it a little bit. And then again, the highlight would be the same where you draw another highlight. Now I'm trying not to get too close to the border, or I'm going to connect it. Let's make the fill like more of a golden brown or a lighter brown. So you can do that, but what I also like to do is I like to create the outlines on all these shapes with a different stroke weight. So if you click up here and your stroke Let's go ahead and turn on the same color stroke. And let's go ahead and make the brush definition. You should have in your brush definitions right here, like this chalk definition. And if not, you can find it in this little library here. And you click down and you go to artistic. Shh, I can hear you in my videos. Let's whisper, guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you and scare you. All right, you can choose in the charcoal pencil, like one of those edges. And look how it makes, if you guys can see, it makes the dread look like a fuzzy dread. And then the same thing for the outlines for that. Or you can also just use the pencil tool. Like somebody the other day was asking how to do like a braid pattern. So bear with me. I'm doing all these crisscrosses. Check this out. So using my selection tool, the black one, not direct selection, but the black one, I'm going to hold the shift key. I'm going to hover until I find all my crisscross applesauce lines that I just made. All right, and then I'm going to go up here and change their stroke color. Let's make them a golden color. And then I'm going to make them, again, I like using with profile number 1. And then I'm going to make it this line. So check this out. If you guys do this, you could even make, oops, you have to group everything. Command G, Command C, Command B. Like, you can make it look more like a braid rather than a dread if you just do these crisscrosses over and over again. So that's how you do like dreadlocks and braids, right? You get it looking really fuzzy and curly like that, right? So that's a good dreadlock right there. And you can make it as dark brown, black, lighter brown. I don't know. I don't know who your icon is. And then the final thing that I'm going to show you is stubble, which is also hair, but it's hair on the face. So what I would do is I'm going to go to my stubble layer. I made a stubble layer on top of my skin layer, and how I did that was I clicked on the skin layer and I clicked the plus button, and then when the new layer shows up, you just rename it stubble. I first of all would make an undercolor underneath it, because otherwise, just so you can see what that looks like, the stubble looks like it's really defined, which maybe you like that, but usually stubble causes like a darker area on the face. So it's up to you. It's your icon, not mine. But I'm going to go ahead and use the pencil tool to outline where the stubble area would be, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and color that in this light brown, maybe more of a skin color brown. That one looks a little super brown. And change the opacity down. Maybe that helps a little bit. You do you, boo. And then to make the stubble, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing. I would use this tool called the blob brush tool. It's hiding underneath your paintbrush tool. It is, I left click and held, and there it is right there. And if you double click it, what you should probably do is make sure that you've defined in your options to keep wherever you dot the dots, you want to keep them selected. And then I would make the size really small, like 1 point, and I'd make it at an angle so the hair doesn't look like round, like pimples or blackheads on the face, right? And it doesn't matter what direction you make them in, it's totally up to you. But I'm going to click OK, and then as I stamp down, I've chosen the fill. Let's make it a dark brown. Okay, and I'm going to make a bunch of stubble, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the stubble so that way I'm working smarter, not harder. I'm going to get my selection tool or click V and hold the shift key, and I'm going to click on each one of these stubblies I've just created, and if it's giving you a problem selecting them, you need to zoom in more so you can see what you're actually doing. So I'm holding the shift key, clicking, holding the shift key, clicking, holding the shift key, clicking. Okay, now I got to group them so they don't separate again. Command G, Command C, Command V, and there I've got more stubble, right? And then I do it again, Command V, and I do a little bit more stubble, Command V, and I do a little bit more stubble. And that, my friends, is how you do stubble.